Before 2007, Transformers was seen as a nostalgic relic, a Saturday morning cartoon from a simpler time. Cheesy voice acting, basic animation, and Optimus Prime dishing out dad wisdom in between toy commercials.
Amazing. A booby trap that actually catches boobies.
It had a loyal niche following, but to the mainstream, it was never the cultural landmark it had the potential to become. Nothing on the level of Star Wars or Terminator. Then Michael Bay showed up like a cocaine-fueled demolition man and said, what if we make it loud, sexy, and explodey? And boom! Transformers rolled into theaters like a Camaro doing donuts in a church parking lot. Shia LaBeouf played the everyman teen who yells a lot, Megan Fox bent over the car hood and rewired a generation's hormones, and Optimus Prime stabbed Bone Crusher in the face on a freeway. America collectively said, hell yeah! It became the cool franchise. People who didn't care about the robots suddenly cared about the robots. It had the Michael Bay flavor. Hyperactive, juvenile, but undeniably fun. The military cooperated with the production because it made war look awesome, and that first transformation sound became pure cinematic ASMR. Culturally, this wasn't just a comeback. It was the transformation of a brand into a popcorn-drenched summer blockbuster titan. With Revenge of the Fallen, Paramount and Michael Bay had tasted blood, and they wanted more. The sequel was made during the infamous writer's strike, which meant Michael Bay was left largely unsupervised. That's like giving a toddler a flamethrower and saying, go nuts. The plot was a total fucking mess. The characters were even worse. We got racist twin robots who looked like Pixar rejects soaked in hate speech. And there was a metal robot disguised as a human woman. I'll let you decide how that works. And don't forget Devastator's clanking metal testicles dangling like truck nuts from hell. Yet, it made hundreds of millions. Why? Because audiences weren't tired yet. This was the late 2000s. YouTube was booming, Reddit was on the rise, and irony was king. Everyone agreed this movie was dumb as a box of wrenches, but we watched it anyways because it was the thing to do. Transformers had gone from surprisingly good to so bad it's good, and Paramount misread the room. They thought people were there for the story. No. People were there to mock the shit out of it with their friends afterward. By 2011, Bay was done pretending to care. Dark of the Moon was marketed as the trilogy's epic conclusion. The plot made no fucking sense. Again. The fake science was laughable. Again. But it looked cool. And the 3D was revolutionary. This was post-Avatar after all. The cultural tone had shifted though. Transformers wasn't cool anymore. It was the guilty pleasure. Critics panned it, audiences shrugged, everyone still went, well, might as well. Kind of like going to your ex's wedding out of curiosity, but not support. Still, the film made bank. $1 billion of it. But the story had no heart. Optimus Prime delivered bloodthirsty dialogue about freedom while brutally executing surrendering enemies. The Autobots, supposed to be the good guys, were acting more like war criminals. At this point, Transformers wasn't a movie franchise. It was just a shitty video game. Loud, dizzying, and best experience while drunk. Culturally, it was coasting on name recognition alone. The franchise had become background noise. 2014's Age of Extinction was the cinematic equivalent to a midlife crisis. Gone were Shia and Megan, and in came Mark Wahlberg, playing an inventor who looked like he could barely spell science. There were also the Dinobots who showed up in the last 30 minutes and said, fucking nothing. Just roared and smashed stuff like a glorified toddler with a sword. Culturally, audiences were done pretending to enjoy these, but box office numbers told a different story. China loved it. Global audiences loved it. Paramount looked at those numbers and said, success! Meanwhile, domestic critics were trying to chew off their own arms in the theater. This was also when Bay's disdain for the franchise became painfully obvious. His directing was on autopilot. Entire scenes existed just to promote Bud Light or Victoria's Secret. The movie looked expensive, but felt like it was made by a team of exhausted interns with a firework budget. By now, Transformers had become a joke, and not a fun one, more like a running gag that had overstayed its welcome at the dinner table. The cultural conversation was, they're still making these? 2017's The Last Night was the cinematic equivalent of yelling plot twist in a burning building. It introduced King Arthur, Merlin, Nazi-fighting Autobots, and ancient orders of secret knights who somehow never showed up for the last 4 global extinction events. Optimus Prime was Nemesis Prime for 5 minutes. Wahlberg had a glowing sword. Anthony Hopkins called somebody a dickhead. And the film still managed to be boring. It was the death rattle. Audiences walked out dazed, confused, and betrayed. Critics just dropped the gloves. Fans stopped defending it. The Transformers brand had gone from a pop culture titan to a Hollywood cautionary tale. In cultural terms, The franchise had become the skull and bones of movies. It was mocked relentlessly. Nobody admitted to liking it anymore. If you brought it up in conversation, people would just sigh and change the subject. This was no longer a franchise. It was a financial black hole. Then came Bumblebee. No bay, no boom, just a tight little story with heart directed by Travis Knight, who actually gave a shit. It was Transformers meets E.T., and it worked. For the first time, Bumblebee had a personality beyond the adorable mute. Haley Steinfeld actually acted like a character with traits and quirks. The designs looked like they're straight out of the G1 cartoons. Even Optimus Prime finally sounded like a dad again instead of a war criminal. Critics loved it, fans praised it, and the culture shifted again. Wait, people said. Can Transformers actually be good? Yes, it could be. But there was a problem. Paramount didn't understand why Bumblebee worked. It didn't make $1 billion, it didn't dominate China, so instead of building on that success, they hit the brakes. They treated it like a fluke. In reality, it was the one time this franchise had felt alive in years, but corporate short-sightedness killed its momentum before it even had a chance. Rise of the Beast was meant to recapture Bumblebee's magic while throwing in nostalgic nods to Beast Wars. As a result, a competent but soulless checklist of a movie. The Maximals were redundant and unnecessary. The horrifying cosmic inevitability of Unicron had been reduced to the 2007 version of Galactus with a different coat of paint. The plot was safe and the characterization was limp. It wasn't offensive, just tired. The kind of film you'd watch while scrolling on your phone. The culture didn't even flinch. Barely any memes, barely any discourse, it just came and went like a bad hookup. Then, Transformers 1. The prequel. It was animated, it was stylized, visually unique, and an actual story about Optimus Prime and Megatron's tragic fall from brothers to enemies. It was genuinely great. The cast was stacked, the animation was gorgeous, the stakes were thoughtful. Finally, the franchise was doing something bold. How did Paramount market it? They didn't. They released a trailer months late with almost zero hype. They had Chris Hemsworth narrating like he was reading a cereal box, and the tone was just all wrong. There was no build-up, no prestige, no event. It just looked like a stupid, shitty Illumination movie. It didn't look like a Transformers movie. It was just designed to look like some stupid little kid's movie. They buried that movie. And that, dear viewer, is how Paramount killed Transformers. Not with a bang, but by not giving a shit. The only great Transformers film in decades, a film with the potential to redefine the brand, was tossed out like a Happy Meal toy. And what gets on my nerves to no end is how I did everything I could to spread the good word, and the fucking vultures at Paramount copyright claimed my videos when they were just taking off. The franchise always had the potential to be something incredible, to finally escape the wreckage Michael Bay had left behind. But Paramount, ever short-sighted, snuffed out the spark. In the end, Transformers was always more than meets the eye, but Paramount never looked past the box office. Anyways, that's it for today. Thank you all for watching. If you liked it, join my channel memberships to give me all your hard-earned money, and join my Discord server. Subscribe, like, share the video if you want, and I hope you all have a great day.